Welcome back to the Red Rising Recap series, where each video gives you an overview of a different book in the Red Rising saga by Pierce Brown in under 10 minutes. This episode is all about Morning Star, the final book in the original trilogy, and contains full spoilers for the first 3 books. A year has passed since Darrow was betrayed by Roke and the Jackal at his triumph. He's been stuck in a box under the Jackal's dining room table for 9 of those months, being kept in complete isolation and questioned about his family. He believes his family have been captured and tortured themselves, and he's only let out of the box because Cassius and Aja are there to take him to the Sovereign, where he's going to be dissected so they can figure out how he was carved. While Darrow's being cleaned up to be shipped off, 2 of the Greys there to transport him turn out to be sons of Ares. They kill the rest of their crew and break out Darrow and Victra. They're the siblings Holiday and Trig T. Nakamura. During the escape, Trig is killed by Aja, and it's really sad, even though we only actually get to know him for about 22 pages. Darrow and Cassius argue about human rights and honor, and then Darrow drags the unconscious Holiday and Victra over the edge of a cliff because he can hear the sound of claw drills coming from below. As he's falling, Ragnar, Severo, and 50 suns fly up from the earth to catch them and cover their retreat. Turns out Severo has taken up the mantle of Ares since his father's death and is leading the Suns. They rescued Darrow's family, including Uncle Neril, and all of the Reds who were in the mine set to be liquidated, which is the Gold's term for when they kill everyone in a mine. They're all in a secret hideout on Mars called Tinos. Darrow gets brought up to speed on the state of the Rising, and spoiler, it's not great. And we get some excellent Darrow, Severo, and Ragnar moments. Darrow and Victor get fixed up by Mickey and trained to get back into shape. They and Holiday are officially inducted into the Howlers during a ceremony, which involves getting piss drunk and eating a bucket full of cockroaches and snakes. Darrow and Victor are cleared to join the Suns for their first mission with Severo and the Howlers. They break into Quicksilver's tower on the moon Phobos and plan to kidnap Quicksilver. However, they find Mateo, the pink who trained Darrow, in Quicksilver's bedroom. They then find Quicksilver meeting with Cassius and Moira Algrimus, Aja's sister and one of the Olympic Knights, and surprise, surprise, they're meeting with Mustang, Kavax, and Daxo. Darrow tries to keep things from popping off, but Severo cuts his mic. Moira gets killed, Mustang sees Darrow and tells him that Orion and the Pax are safe before escaping with Daxo. Cassius gets away, but the Howlers capture Kavax and Quicksilver. They then get away themselves when Darrow finally takes control of the situation. We learn that Quicksilver actually founded the Sons of Ares with Fitchner and has been bankrolling the rebellion. Severo and Darrow fight, but then they make up. Severo admits that running the rebellion was too much, and he's glad to have Darrow take over the strategy. The first thing they do is take control of Phobos and then steal the Jackal's ships when he sends them to retake the moon, giving the Suns a fleet. Then Mustang turns up and tells Darrow that she thought he was dead this whole time, and the only reason she was discussing peace with the society was so that they could focus on taking out the Jackal. She joins Darrow, Holiday, and Ragnar on their mission to convince Ragnar's mother, one of the leaders of the Obsidians of Mars, to join the rebellion. They're attacked by Cassius and Aja on the way, and their ship crashes. They fight, and Mustang shoots Cassius in the throat, but don't worry, he survives. But Aja kills Ragnar and escapes. It is legitimately one of the saddest moments of any book I've ever read, and I still have trouble reading it to this day. Ragnar's sister Sephi shows up just in time to say goodbye before he dies. She then brings Darrow, Holiday, Mustang, and the captured Cassius to the Obsidians. We learn that Ragnar's mother, Aaliyah Snowsparrow, has known all along that golds aren't actually gods, but has continued the lie to keep her power. They do, however, convince Sephi of their message, and she kills her mother and takes over as leader and joins Darrow. Roke, oh butt-sucking Fabii, was busy making a name for himself as a naval commander while Darrow was being tortured and starved, but Darrow and Mustang have a plan to take him and the Sword Armada out. The leader of the Lords of Jupiter's Moons, Romulus Aura, brings Darrow and Roke together to bid for his support. We learn that the Sovereign had a cache of nuclear weapons, but they were stolen, and Darrow makes sure the Rim Lords assume, correctly, that those warheads were there in case the Rim decided to rebel against the Society. The Rim sides with Darrow in exchange for giving up the location of the Sons of Ares cells in the Rim. Remember that, it'll come up again a few books from now. There's a space battle, and Darrow and co. defeat Roke, who kills himself rather than live in a world where reds and golds are equal. Darrow then betrays Romulus and bombs the dockyards of Ganymede so that they're too crippled to turn against them in the future, but he makes it seem like Roke is the one that did it. They then rename Roke's ship the Morning Star. During the battle, they captured Antonia and Thistle, a former Howler who joined the Jackal when she found out Darrow was a Red. Thistle yells from her cell that she'll tell Darrow the Jackal's plan, but Antonia kills her before she can say anything. The Jackal captures and kills Uncle Neril on live stream, leading to shit popping off on the ship. Sephi drags Cassius and the other captured Golds out to be executed one by one. Severo stops them by implying that if they're going to kill Cassius for being a murderer, they have to kill him too. He then jumps off the railing with a noose around his neck, forcing Sephi to cut him and Cassius down. Victor reacts by proposing to Severo, and they get married in a brief but lovely moment. The Rising's Armada then shows up at Luna, not Mars like everyone expected, hoping to catch the Sovereign off guard. Cassius and Darrow have a lovely chat one night during the trip to Luna, where Darrow reveals that the Sovereign and the Jackal were the ones responsible for Cassius's family being killed, not Darrow like Cassius had been told. Cassius then plays triple agent, pretending to shoot Severo in front of Antonia so that they can get into the Sovereign's fortress. There's a slight wrinkle in the plan when the Jackal has Cassius cut off Darrow's sword hand, but Mustang, Darrow, Cassius, and Severo's apparently dead body are all brought into the Sovereign's personal panic room, along with Aja and two other Olympic knights, Antonia, the Jackal, and the Sovereign's grandson Lysander. The Sovereign orders Aja to kill Antonia for abandoning Roke during the battle, and it's so satisfying. She then orders Darrow to be executed live, which is a huge mistake because Cassius then kills the guards and one of the Olympic Knights live on camera before uncuffing Mustang and Darrow. Darrow then stabs Octavia and the Jackal and kills the other Olympic Knight before shooting Severo full of a cocktail to wake his ass up. Darrow, Mustang, Cassius, and Severo then team up to finally take out Aja. But wait, there's more, because it turns out the Jackal had been holding the entire moon hostage with the nukes that had gone missing, and he signals Lilith, remember her from the Institute, to start detonating them all over the moon. Lysander steps in and calls the Ash Lord, Aja's father and the leader of the Sovereign's remaining armada, and tells him to take out Lilith. He does, and that's that. Kind of. Lysander then leads Mustang to the Senate and declares her the new sovereign. Almost all the senators kneel. The Ash Lord and the other loyalists who won't kneel all retreat to their own strongholds, but we'll get there in Iron Gold. The book ends with the Jackal being hung for his crimes, Mustang dismantling the hierarchy, Cassius taking Lysander to raise him away from all the drama, and Darrow finding out that Mustang was pregnant at the end of Golden Sun, and surprise, he has a son named Pax. That's the end of the original trilogy. Come back next week for Iron Gold, the first book in the later tetralogy, which takes place 10 years after Morningstar ends. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Sharkbait's Bookshelf, and subscribe to High Key Obsessed on YouTube to follow along with the series.